all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days. The game of clubs and tees, it never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try.
Welcome into the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. I am Andrew Putters. I am with my partner, Joe Nicely. Big week in golf, big week coming up in golf. We got Super Bowl right around the corner. But first, Joe, tell us what Rotoballer has going for us in 2021.
Yeah, man, there wasn't much happening last weekend, was there?
Big news. Big news. First of all, shout out to the show, the Hunt. Unfortunately, calling the P. Reed win sarcastically on the show last week. Hope y'all saw that on the Twitter. It went, yeah, big week. We're gonna get into that. Like I said, thank you, Rotoballer, for our title sponsor. Rotoballer.com, number one place in all the world for all your daily fantasy needs. We've got daily content. We've got weekly content. We've got course breakdown. We've got the expert roundtable. We've got one and done contests, all for our subscribers. Joe, what else?
Yeah, man, you named it all. Basically, anything you need, it's our goal to take care of you. We added showdown slates this year to our premium subscribers. You can get over there now, sign up, use promo code NICE, N-I-C-E, $69, get you to the Tour Championship. We feel like it's an amazing product and well worth that price. So we really hope you'll go check it out. We've also got a ton of free content over there. We encourage you to go look at every week, and we're ready to roll, man. Last week was just kind of the first shot for this season. I think we got a really fun one in store, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week, Torrey Pines, we thought it was going to be great. We said over and over again that we felt that this, that our opinions were that we felt that this is where the PGA Tour season starts. It's whenever the big names come out and show up, and it's a great field, a great golf course, usually a great Sunday. Didn't disappoint, but for the other reasons, really, if the Patrick Reed goes out and wins by 5 shots and with nothing but controversy surrounding the guy. Can you imagine what this tournament would look like coming down the stretch with no P. Reed in it, no controversy in it? There was 10 or 12 guys right there and ended up just being a runaway. But like most tournaments that Patrick Reed wins, he dominates in the closing rounds. He usually never misses a putt. I mean, you look, first time ever, he was minus a 1 shot tee to green, strokes gained against the field, and shoots under par yesterday. I mean, so that's where we always say that you can't look at his statistics. However, we always kind of want to throw him in a GPP tournament every week, because not only does he have winnability, but a lot of times you're going to get pretty decent pricing. And I think he's led the tour on birdies per round for several years, or at least been right up there in the top 3. So, okay, let's just go ahead and get it off our chest. Patrick Reed, walk us through what you believe to happen over the weekend, and we won't harp on this because I'm sure every podcast in the nation is covering, golf podcast in the nation has covered this over this week. But we're going to get our 2 cents in. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, obviously everybody knows what happened in the 3rd round, 10th hole, Patrick Reed. So I don't want to dive into kind of play by play because I feel like you can get that anywhere, and you've probably seen it and heard opinions on it. But we wanted to throw ours in there because, this is what we do. So I don't know that Reed acted outside of the rules Saturday, but I don't know that there was great intent there. I think that Reed has got a history, and I think that's important in this case. It's just like anything, Andrew. When you apply for a job, you have to turn your resume in. You apply for a loan, they run your credit. And that's kind of the case here with Patrick Reed, and any type of rules situation that he finds himself in, we kind of know his history. And it feels as though there were some things going that I'd never seen before. Watched a lot of golf, and not saying that that's not something that happens from time to time, but I've never seen a guy pick up an embedded ball that he's called a rules official over to evaluate, and Reed picks the ball up almost immediately upon finding it. Video later showed that the ball bounced. So have a very, very hard time believing that it was actually embedded. So you feel like he got one over there. He was kind of positioned himself between the ball and the camera. Was fooling with it for a while. Palmed the ball instead of kind of traditionally holding the ball out with your thumb and a finger. Kind of holding it like an egg. He kind of palmed the ball a little bit. It kind of went out of sight for a while. And then when the rules official got there and asked, what was going on, Reed said, "I need a ruling on this embedded ball." And the official said, "Where's the ball?" And Reed said, "I already moved it." So it's just kind of crazy, man. I think it's possible to respect how great of a player that Patrick Reed is. I do. I think it's possible to believe that he's an elite player. I do. I think it's possible to believe he's a great closer. I do. But I also think it's possible to believe that he will do anything that he can to get an advantage. I believe that. I believe he's cheated in the past. I believe he flirted with that line very heavily this past weekend. So those two aren't mutually exclusive. I think you can think he's a great player and also kind of a guy you need to keep an eye on when it comes to rules. And that's kind of where I come down on it. And it's a shame, man, because, Reed has no business winning on that golf course with his game. He has no business winning on a 7,700 yard plus golf course. But he's so good. He's not one of these guys that hits it 3 miles. His short game's amazing. He's a grinder. So really respect what he's able to do out there, but not much respect for kind of how he treats the rules and how he goes about his business out there. But I guess that's for everybody to decide.
Yeah. So one thing we'll touch on Patrick Reed. It's been shown over and over again in pressure pack situations that he does rise to the top, and that's when you call him the elite player that he is. We've talked when we had Jason Gandy on, and I've heard several other people behind the ropes talk about this and other times, is that what makes a difference between um, uh, somebody on tour trying to survive versus somebody contending, and then what also define difference between somebody contending and somebody a good player and a great player is not their talent. Jason Gandy said that very clearly. You have to have talent to be there. However, it's how strong is your mind as you see the people excel. And I want to say this about him. He probably has one of the strongest minds on the tour as far as he literally does not give a crap about anybody else. And that's what you have to be a great champion. And there's no doubt that that's the way he operates on the course. You see him in Ryder Cups. I mean, he's dominant. He's out there taking on. He wants the best player in the world every time. He doesn't care about friendships. He doesn't care about relationships. We got to put all that on the shelf and just go. And it seems like the European tour is better at that than we are. And he's right in that stance. But I will agree on a couple of things on this, that Patrick Reed did not go with outside the rules on the 10th hole on Saturday. However, I fully believe that it was almost like a perfect storm for him. Number one, the PGA Tour is going to do everything they can to protect him because of what happened a couple of years ago with the sand trap issue. They're also going to do anything to protect him because he's one of their dominant players. They're going to do anything to protect him. He also did this while playing with a rookie and, like you said, a first-year guy.
Will Gordon and Robbie Shelton are the guys he was playing with.
He's not going to do that with Keegan Bradley in the group. He's not going to do that with Daniel Berger in the group. We obviously saw that last year. He was giving him the death stare.
My boy Berger posted up on him.
Yeah, and so in saying all that to say this is that he used, not knowingly or unknowingly, the key of the USGA rule book is defined with one word: intent. The intent behind what he did Saturday was to better himself alive. In my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that, man. I think that's a spot on assessment, and I think that's kind of where everybody can make mistakes. There's no doubt. Everybody, even professionals, can make honest mistakes. But the key word, like you said, is intent. I don't think Reed's intent was in the right place Saturday. I don't think it's been in the right place multiple times before, and I think that follows you around, and I think that matters. So yeah, man, I think you're 100% right. It all goes back to intent, and I don't know that Reed's was in the right place Saturday.
We're 100% agree on that. So let's just not. That's all we're going to say about that situation. Overall, great performance though. You can't get hands down to him. Like I said on Sunday in prime Patrick Reed fashion, dominated the golf course, dominated the field, and literally nobody really. It wasn't even close on the back nine. Just to be honest with you. So
Probably the best short game on the PGA Tour right now.
So we're not going to harp on that anymore, Joe. But hands down to Patrick Reed dominating the tournament. Wasn't even close on the back nine. So moving on, Phoenix Open, Waste Management Phoenix Open, one of the most popular events on the PGA Tour. This tournament is known for the greatest show on grass, where we get 80,000 some odd people surrounding the green. And it's going to be with our pleasure now to bring on Rotoballer course breakdown specialist Josh Bennett. How you doing, Josh?
I am doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. This man Josh is hailing up from the big north up in Minnesota. It's probably a little colder there than it is here. And Josh is actually a content provider for Rotoballer.com, our title sponsor. And Josh every week gives us a lowdown, great content talking about breaking down every hole in the golf course. What ideally we're looking for in a fantasy golfer for the week that matches up with the golf course, and you provide all kinds of different things. And first of all, just go in a little bit about how you break down the golf courses every week for us.
So the first step, really, I kind of break it down into 3 sections. The first section is kind of what they're going to be doing off the tee on every hole, and then the next section is kind of what's going to happen as they're approaching the hole, what the greens look like, what's around the greens, where the danger is, stuff like that. And then it's not a separate section there, but I cover, like what the putts might look like or how the scoring might be, stuff like that. So you kind of get a feel for kind of how the shots go on every hole, how the tee shots are going to look, how the approach is going to look, how the scoring is going to look. So I do that for every single hole. It's kind of tedious, but I think it's helpful. And kind of aggregated at the end. I have a summary at the end and a little summary at the beginning too, to kind of get people into the flow of what's going to happen as they're reading. And at the end, I kind of go over, overall thoughts. Is it going to be a bomber's course? Are you going to have precision irons? Are you going to have to figure out how to not 3-putt from 50 feet? You're going to have to score on par 5, stuff like that. So I kind of break down it hole by hole, and then at the end kind of bring it all together and give you a feel for, based on how the course looks, what kind of players we should be looking for, in 5,000 words or so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Joe's known Josh longer than I have, but Josh has been a great asset to the Rotoballer team and creating just next level content on the golf course. Would you want to add in on that at all?
Yeah, man, totally agree. We feel like Josh's breakdown is one of the best in the industry, if not the best. Everything that he utilizes with Google Earth images, and the way he breaks down every single hole. So we hope you'll go check that out as part of our Rotoballer PGA Premium package. You can use code JISH to get a discount on that, and make sure to check out Josh's breakdown every week. Josh, we want to have you on this week, man. We're here for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and you and I talked before. You actually got to go down there last year. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
I did, and I was down there for my bachelor party, actually, with a bunch of buddies and my dad. And we went on Saturday, the crazy day. So we got up at 3, 4 in the morning, whatever it is. We were in the big scrum. You see the videos and social media of all the people. They open the gates and people are just flying around the golf course. We were in the middle of that. That's pretty insane, actually. As soon as they open the gates, people are falling over and they're losing shoes and people are getting trampled. It's pretty insane.
So is everybody just trying to get the 16?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
kind of what causes the?
yeah, exactly. So there's relatively limited seatings. Even, I mean, you see the stands and there's like a billion seats, but it's for the amount of people that are standing there waiting to get in, it's relatively limited. So, I mean, once they open the gates, there's two different ways you can go right away, which I think also is probably part of the chaos because nobody knows where they're going. So you can take a left, and if you take a left, it's going to take you to the right side of 16. You run down 18, run down 17, and then you're on the right side of 16. And you can also take a right to the start. You kind of run by the driving range, and then you're on the other side of 16. Um, so yeah, it's just chaos. Everybody's trying to get there, and then if you don't get to 16, there's some stands and some seating at 17, and then there's some people that just stay on 18 too. But yeah, everybody's trying to get to 16. That's where the fun happens.
So did you make it to 16?
I did, yeah. So you do got to run to get there too, which is kind of insane for somebody that doesn't do a whole lot of running. It's like a mile, I think. Somebody told me it was like the mile. They might have been lying to me, but yeah, you run there, and we were sitting kind of where the fairway is on 16. We were like right by the green. There's actually a pretty nice seating area though, because you can from there you can actually see the tee shots when they hit it, and you can also see it hit the green. If you're standing on the green, you can't really see the ball until it gets to the green. So that was pretty nice, and then it's a little less rowdy there. It's rowdy everywhere, but it's a little less rowdy where we were sitting, which was fine. It's a very like college frat atmosphere. People are kind of crazy, so
Right.
you're sitting by the green, and it's a little more intensive than it was where we were sitting. Not a college guy, so we didn't need to be in that big of a stuff.
Right. Well, we all kind of know about 16. We know how rowdy it is. They're going to have
Yeah.
some fans in this year, but pretty significantly reduced number of fans. But kind of fill us in on the rest of the course, man. Let us know what's going on this week with TPC Scottsdale.
Sure. So the rest of the course is 16 is actually a lot different than the rest of the course, especially on Saturday. They moved the tee box up on 16, so it's like a short wedge on Saturday, which is weird. But the rest of the course, it's their average length par fours, the par five. There's 3 par fives, and those are all average length. They're not super long, but they're not short either. And then the other 3 par threes are actually pretty long par threes. So I mean, the rest of the course, you got to hit a driver decently long, but it also has to be straight because you have waste areas on both sides on most of the course. And then the designers did a pretty good job putting fairway bunkers in play where even if you're long, they're still in play. So if you're not accurate, you're going to be in a bunker, you're going to be in a waste area, something like that. So you got to be long, so you have a shorter club into the green. You got to be straight, so you're not hitting it out of the bunkers, first of all. So that's the first step. And then the second step is you're going to have a mid iron into the green, 8, 7, 8, 9 iron probably, sometimes more. And the greens are pretty large, I think, compared to the rest of the tour. So if you can't put them close, now you're looking at 3 putts. So it's interesting if you look at the past leaderboard, especially in like the top 10, top 20. It's a pretty mixed bag based on length versus short accurate guys. You got Gary Woodland's up there all the time. Hideki is decently long. He's up there all the time. Ches Reeves showing his name on the leaderboard. Kuchar's been up there a bunch. So you can get off the tee a lot of different ways as long as you're keeping it in play, obviously. But the real key, I think, is based on looking at the course and looking at stats and stuff, is you got to be accurate with those mid irons, and if you're not, you're looking at 3-putt bogeys, or you're looking at missing the green, and then you got to scramble and stuff. So yeah, if you look through the course, it's pretty obvious that straight and long, and then hit it close from the decent length.
Yeah, man. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. We've seen a lot of different types of players do well here. Like last year, for instance, we saw a playoff with Webb and Tony Finau. They're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Diving in a little bit more, I know you said it's important off the tee and on approach. Can you take us a little bit deeper? What are you looking at? Are you going to kind of zero in on a certain yardage on approach? Is there something you're looking for as far as that goes specifically?
Yeah, so it's a little difficult because, everybody you have your bombers that are just gonna, they're gonna hit it carry it 320 and they're just gonna have wedges into some of these holes as long as it's straight. But, as long as it's, your average hitter or maybe even a little worse, around 11 holes or so, they're going to be hitting it from over 170 yards. So you can look at approaches from 175 to 200 yards. It's probably a pretty good measurement. You can even look at longer. Um, I did do some statistic research for you, Joe.
Okay,
Um,
hit me with it, man.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
always ready for it.
So here you go. In 2019, if you look at who finished in the top 20 of that tournament, and look at where they all ranked in approaches from 175 to 200 yards for 2019. If you average it out, they average to be like 49 and a half. So they're top 50 in approach from 175 to 200 yards,
Wow.
which is
Well,
kind of
from
insane.
what
You have to be an elite, approach player from a long ways away. So
Yeah, man. Well, that makes sense when we kind of dig into course history a little bit.
yeah,
Obviously both Webb and Tony are really strong from those ranges. Guys like Ricky Fowler, who's played well here. Hideki's won here twice.
yeah,
Super strong from that range. So makes tons of sense. Tell
yeah,
me a little bit about the par fives. I know you said they're kind of average.
yeah,
There's only three this week,
yeah,
so it feels like it's really important that guys take advantage of those. Does that
yeah, for
make
sure.
sense?
Yeah, all three of them are scoreable. The first two are just your standard, fairway's kind of narrow. There's some bunkers in the way, so you gotta, miss those. But then they'll be able to reach the first two without any problem. Um, whether that's with an iron or a fairway wood or whatever. There's not a whole lot of issues around those greens. So, I think there's a pretty good stat going for the green. The par five stat. It's probably a good one to look at because they will definitely be doing that on those two holes. And then the last one, and I don't remember exactly what hole it is. It's toward the end. I think it's 15. I think 14 or 15, something like that. It's it's split off by water right in front of the green. So if you don't have a good drive, then they're just gonna be laying up. But if they have a good drive, it's since it's not a super long hole, they can try to get to that one too. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. Scoring on the par five is going to be important, especially there's probably not going to be a whole lot of scoring on the par fours since the approaches are coming from 170 yards. You don't score a whole lot from there. You usually score when it's driver wedge, not driver 7-8 iron. So
Right, right, makes sense, man. Kind of where I'm leaning early in the week. Webb Simpson last year aside, but we've seen a lot of guys you could call bad putters win here. Am
yeah,
I crazy for just throwing putting out the window this week?
that's interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you guys that. It's you would think that the good putters, since the greens are bigger and they're approaching it from so far away, would be at a premium because you hit it to 30 feet, maybe more. You want the good putter to be able to lag it up there and make the putts. But yeah, we got Gary that does well here, Fino that does well here, just the people, Hideki, like you mentioned, just the guys that are typically not good putters are just doing well here for some reason. And maybe part of that too is, as we just mentioned, all three of those guys are extremely accurate from longer ranges, and they also hit the ball pretty far too. So they're probably hitting, maybe closer to a wedge, whereas others are hitting 7 iron. So yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably throw putting out, but it's a little backwards because you would think longer approaches means you need to be a better putter. But yeah, I would agree with you. Maybe just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's a week with these larger greens. Maybe we dig into proximity a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, as of now, I'm kind of tossing. strokes gained around and putting out the window a little bit. It seems like from looking back, doesn't have a huge impact. Obviously, a guy that's going to win is going to have to make some putts, but we kind of have seen some guys that are considered bad putters play well here in the past. So that was something I was looking at. But
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you kind of going through TPC Scottsdale with us. Kind of give us all your info. Give us your Twitter info and tell us a little bit more about when you post the article every week and where you can find it.
Sure. So article goes up. Yeah, it's been going up Monday afternoons recently, but at some point on Mondays it will go up. You can find it at Rotoballer. Obviously, it'll get tweeted out at Rotoballer PGA. I will retweet it obviously on at Jishlish. That's where you can find me. And yeah, that's where you're gonna find it. And then we also do a one and done contest that I'm involved in, and we have an expert roundtable that I'm also involved in. So I do some other things too other than the course breakdown, but that's the big one. So
Right. Well, we appreciate everything you do, Josh, and appreciate you joining us here and look forward to having you back soon. Thanks so much, man.
yeah, thanks. Looking forward to being back.
Well, that was a pleasure having Josh Bennett on, and let's just get right into the field now, Joe. Guy up top played pretty good last week. Actually, it's a couple of guys at the top played pretty good, but we're also bringing in some new names. We're bringing in this is the power four. This is going to be the power four play here. We're going to leave Webb Simpson off this, but in reality, this term, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, not saying that it can bring everybody into the field to win. However, every different style of player has won this tournament. So this is going to be always a fun tournament. We know we're going to have to make a lot of birdies. Let's go ahead and go with the top four: John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, JT, Rory McIlroy. That is a power four if I've ever seen it. We're really just missing DJ and Bryson to having everybody here. So, let's go. Who you like? Top four.
You have to like them all, man. Really, John Rahm on a course history heater right now. He's been dominant at Torrey Pines, played extremely well there last week, had a T7, and now he rolls into Phoenix, man, where he went to college at Arizona State. Logged a fifth on this golf course as an amateur back in 2015 and has posted back-to-back top 10s here. So you have to love Rahm on this golf course. Dropping down below, a little bit surprised to see Xander priced above JT, but Xander's playing excellent, man, and Xander's maybe my favorite play up here. He kind of finally broke the Torrey curse last week. We talked about his weirdly bad course history at Torrey, but got over that, had a T2, was right in the mix, gained 4.7 strokes on approach last week. He's played in this golf tournament, the Waste Management Phoenix Open 3 times, has a top 17 in all 3 of those starts. So you feel like Xander's an elite option this week, man, and one that I'll probably be leaning on up here. JT's back, been over in Europe. You kind of have to wonder about that, Andrew. We won't dig into that, but always plays the Sony. Didn't play the Sony, hadn't played in several weeks. You kind of wonder if that was a little under the table suspension maybe for the thing that went down at the Century. But anyway, JT's back, back-to-back top T3s here. After kind of starting out sluggish his career here, missed a couple cuts, but has bounced back nicely and played really well here the last couple of years. Didn't look great in Abu Dhabi when he teed it up over there, but he's JT, so I mean we know that he's going to come to play. Rory's making his tournament debut here. He's never played this tournament in his career, which is kind of interesting. So we don't really know what we're going to get, but we know what we're getting with Rory. Hits it great off the tee, great iron player. Last week at the Farmer, gained 7.2 strokes tee to green. Kind of faded out on Sunday, which is a recurring theme, which kind of makes me scared to hop on here. That coupled with never playing here before, and then I would throw Webb in there with those guys, man. He's a defending champ, has played unbelievably well here. Ultra consistent. We always know what we're getting with Webb. You never feel bad about rostering the guy, which can really be said for all these guys above 10 this week. But I'm leaning early Xander. Xander's what I'm thinking, man. What are you thinking up here? I know this isn't always where you want to start your lineups? You make any exceptions this week?
If I was, it would be. If I was, it'd be Webb. Webb or JT. Like I said, love to hate John Rahm for some reason. Xander's too high for me. Rory's never played here. I think normally in this time of year, non-COVID related, Rory's going to be over in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai and playing those 3 tournaments over there for the big payday. But he didn't want to obviously have to sit out when he came back. So I understand all that. Probably maybe Webb, but I mean, it would. If you take Webb, you're sleeping on the guy that blows lineups up. Matsuyama, right below him, 9,800. He has great, not good, but great course history here. Second best in the field over the last 5 years. Let's see. Last 5 years, 16th, 15th, WD, first and first. Can't throw shade on this guy on this golf course. I mean, are you fading Hideki? Or are you on him? I mean, he's already blown you up once this year, and it's a young year.
Hideki's tough, man. But yeah, the course history's elite. So if you're kind of a course history person, then you're gonna have Hideki in your lineups this week. I don't know that I will even with that amazing course history, because he's just been all over the board this year, man. Like you said, he kind of broke my heart at the Century in the first event of the year. Lost almost 10 strokes putting that week, just horribly bad. Followed that up with a good performance, gained over 6 strokes in his next start, played well. And then last week, played terribly. Lost strokes tee to green, off the tee, and on approach last week. So despite the amazing course history, you just don't know what you're getting with the Hideki, and especially at this price, I just don't think I'll be going there. Really like all the guys above him. Really like the guy below him, Daniel Berger. One of my favorite plays of the week. Tell me what you're thinking on Berger, man.
Berger, I've already had a circle him since the pricing came out. Berger is going to be where I would start any lineup, really, because you're going to get a discount on him every week, and it just seems like he just prints top tens. So, yeah, Daniel Berger, he's really poised for a victory here. He's had several great finishes. He seems to always be in the mix. Let's see where he's at here. Daniel Berger. He's got.
You think he's going to go a little overlooked this week, Andrew, with all those big boys up at the top?
He could. I mean, I could see how people could just shoot right over him, because if you put one of the top 3 or 4 guys in, you can't put him in too. And I would definitely play him over Sunjay. I mean, after Sunday's little 31-42 or whatever it was, 31. Well, I don't even know what it was there. He shot that one day last week. Yeah,
I think Berger really stands out to me in the nines. I mean, I think there's some viable GPP plays in there. You talked about Sungjae. He's kind of like a little mini Hideki to me. You don't ever know what you're getting with him. Had just a psycho scorecard on Sunday. Lit the front 9 up, blew the back 9 up. So I just don't trust Sungjae, even though he's a top notch player. Ron Palmer, you can say the same thing. He's been on fire. Had a runner up last week. Has 2 top 5s in his 3 starts this year. So he's playing excellent golf. But he gained 7.8 strokes putting last week. And you're always kind of scared that that's going to cool off, especially when you're switching surfaces. So Palmer's a guy I'd look at in GPPs, but not a guy I want to rely on. And outside of Berger, my favorite play in the nines, I go to Will Zalatoris at 9K. Kid's just a superstar in the making, man. Coming off a T7 at the Farmers. He's had 7 starts on the PGA Tour since the U.S. Open. Finished top 10 in 4 of those, Andrew, coming off the Korn Ferry Tour on fire last year. And there's no course history here, which is kind of scary, but I think Zalatoris is a guy we got to look at, just, kind of like we looked at Morikawa and Hovland a couple of years ago, kind of like we looked at John Rahm when he first came on the tour. I think he's a guy you just got to pull the trigger and bet on his talent, man. He kills par 5s. We know that's going to be key this week with the 3 on TPC Scottsdale. I think he's second in the field, strokes gained par 5. And it almost feels like he has a win coming any time, man. So Zalatoris and Berger for the nines for me. Any thoughts on those, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zalatoris, it's very valid that you're nervous about playing him, especially in that putting that price. It's going to be the biggest price you've had to pay for him with this type of field. Maybe he's been more expensive, but not in this type of field. He is a stud. I think it might have been last week. He might have been overall first in the field on shots gained approach, which is pretty amazing. I think he leads. I know he leads the PGA Tour in greens regulation. So I mean, his iron play is, he's gonna have more opportunities than anybody else. So love him. Definitely Daniel Berger in the nines there's nobody even close to where I would put him is competitively, not necessarily talent, but competitively. The next area though is kind of weird for me, and I'll tell you why. Let's say from like the 8,000s, the first few in the 8,000s. So we're gonna go down: Oosthuizen, Koepka, Wolf, Fowler, Watson, even Woodland. Not all those guys, but some of those guys have great course history. Some of them are past champions. However, every single one of these guys could miss the cut. So this is Matt Wolf playing? I thought he's injured. I mean, what's going on there? So, like I said, okay, let's just say 8,000 up: Harmon, Kim, Henley, Woodland, Horschel, Watson, Fowler, Wolf, Koepka, Oosthuizen. Every single one of those guys could win this tournament. Every single one of them could miss the cut. Scary price range right here, Joe.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Normally the 8K is where you go to kind of find your consistent, solid guys, right? And certainly not the case this week. As like you said, there's tons of upside there, but also tons of volatility there. Brooks, you just don't feel like he's kicked it into gear yet. You feel like it's going to be a while with him. Wolf, like you said, he WD last week with an injured hand, played horribly. Made me look pretty stupid in the process. But I'm going to surprise you, Andrew, with the name I'm going to throw at you in the eights. I don't know that you've ever heard me kind of be on this guy, but I'm kind of interested, man. Ricky Fowler. We said there's going to come a point this year that we might be willing to pull the trigger on him, and it might be this week for me. I don't love this price, honestly, but I do kind of love some of the trends that Ricky's coming into this weekend. Man, he's not had great finishes yet, but he's gained strokes tee to green in both starts of the year. Gained 8.9 strokes tee to green at the Amex, had a T21, gained 4.9 strokes tee to green last week, had a T53. So he's not making any putts, but the tee to green game's starting to come together. Won here in 2019, has made 10 of 12 career starts here, the cut in 10 of 12 career starts here. So I think you can actually consider Ricky. It's not a spot where I want to get crazy and go all in or anything, but if you're going to consider Ricky, I think this might be the week. And then Bubba right below him, disappointed us last week. Really hurt me in DFS, but got great course history here. Had top fives here in each of the last 2 years, and it was his first start of 2021 last week. He kind of got a tough draw on the South course on Friday, kind of in the middle of that bad weather. Blew up and missed the cut. So Bubba's another guy you don't ever really want to rely on, but we know he tends to play well on certain courses, and this is certainly one of those. So pretty gross range, man, really, like you said. But Ricky and Bubba are kind of where I'm looking, even though it's just probably going to be GPP stuff with those two.
Yeah, if I'm looking down through here, if I'm gonna play Matt Wolf, which we're probably not because he went out injured last week, but if we're gonna play a Matt Wolf or even let's say Woodland, Woodland is we thought he was kind of trending up, which he still might be, but he had a couple of bad rounds last week. So if I'm gonna play Woodland, I'm gonna go ahead and gamble with Koepka there. So I'm just not gonna play either one of them. But if I was gonna pull the trigger, it'd be on Koepka more because his ceiling's much higher than Woodland's is, even though Woodland's a fine player at 8,300. I'm just not going to probably pull the trigger on anybody here. And if I was going to pull the trigger on it, it'd be just like you, Ricky Fowler, because he's probably going to be the least owned of all these guys. The most consistent player in this price range is without a doubt Billy Horschel, Russell Henley, week in, week out. But not on this type of golf course. I mean, in reality, you're going to look for maybe golf courses that require great iron play before you play those two guys, and this is just not one of those tracks. So let's move on past that and really Brian Harmon, Siwoo Kim just get they don't really get a look in this price in my opinion with the guys you got coming up behind them in the sevens.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think outside of giving Ricky and Bubba just a look, I think maybe Russell Henley, just because we know how good he's been with his irons, but it's been a really mixed bag for him here. He's coming off a bad outing at the Amex where he also had kind of weirdly bad course history, and I think it's really checkered here as well. I think over the last 5 years he's got like a T15, a T16, and 3 missed cuts, kind of just all mixed in together. So um, not a great fit. The course history bears out, but I think you have to look at Henley at least at this price and this field, just because we know he is such a good ball striker. But yeah, much more interested in the 7K range, Andrew, versus the 8s. I think there's a lot to look at once we start getting down into the 7s.
You get down in the sevens, there's a plethora of very fine golfers. One guy that really killed us last week that I was high on, Jason Day, just from course history goes. Not going to be on him this week at all. Um, going down through here in the sevens, a couple guys that are going to stick out to me is Chris Kirk. Any golf course where you make a lot of birdies, I'm going to be looking at him, regardless of playing him or not. You got to give him a look. Other than that, I don't know how to say his name. Ben On. I don't know how.
Benny on.
Benny On, man. Great course history here. Probably like top 5 course history wise for course history buff, which we are here on the turn. So you won't have to give him a look. Other than that, there's several names here you could splash in there, but there's not anybody that you can really like hang your hat on as this is my guy. So where I want to so bad, you know me. When Jordan gets down here in the low sevens, I'm ready to start pulling the trigger. But he's got horrible course history. 1 top 10, a couple missed cuts. So who are in the sevens?
Yeah, man, there's a couple guys. I'm pretty excited about this 7K range this week. Right off the bat there at the top, Max Homa, at 7.9K. He's a California kid, but he's living in Scottsdale. So he's super familiar with these facilities, TPC Scottsdale. Played really well here in his last 2 starts, and he's played really well this year. He's went 6th and T26 in his last 2 waste management starts, and he's coming off a T18 at the Farmers where he gained 4.5 strokes on approach. Really showed a lot this year. Dating back to Mayakoba, looked really good there, and he's looked sharp in 2 starts this year. So I'm really excited to get Max Homa in rosters this week at 79. Drop down to Corey Connors at 78. We know he's a tee to green beast. And a horrible putter, but I'm kind of willing to roll with the bad putters. We've seen some bad putters win on this golf course, play well here. Kind of seems to neutralize the bad putting a little bit. So really looking at Corey Connors hard. Had a T37 last week, his first start of the year. Kind of knocked the rust off. Feel like he'll be ready to go. He's gained strokes tee to green in his last 6 starts. So those 2 guys are kind of leading things off for me in the sevens. Then as you get down, it gets a little spottier, a little iffier, a little more in the GPP type plays. Sam Burns burned us at the Amex and then played really well last week. Hasn't played well here, but it kind of adds up for him too. He's really good off the tee, scores on par 5s and a good Bermuda putter. So it makes sense that he would play well here, but he hasn't yet. Then we get down to a guy I know you love and who I love this week, Brendan Steele. Played really well in 2 starts in 2021. Had a top 5 at the Sony and a T21 at the Amex. Played well here in the past. He's missed his last couple of cuts, but Steele's a real streaky player, and he really been in a bad rut for the last couple of years. So I'm willing to put that on just where his game was at the time. And I think he's in a much better place right now. So I'll have some Brendan Steele down there. Benny On, you mentioned. This maybe is the only course where he's been consistent. Finished inside the top 25 in all 4 of his career starts on this golf course. The dude is a horrible putter. He lost 8.5 strokes putting last week, Andrew. That's pretty epically bad, but we can give him a look in GPPs because he is a great ball striker. He's great around the greens, and he's played really well here. And a guy that I found myself kind of surprisingly rostering last week, and I know you like this guy, and I like him here. We're talking about, kind of being willing to overlook bad putting. Luke List, 7.2K, man. Played great, tee to green. Gained 8.2 strokes, tee to green last week. Had a top 10 at Torrey against that field. Gained 6.5 strokes, tee to green at the Amex. Had a top 25 there. Couple top 25s in his history on this course. So List is not a guy that we always want to play, but we can go there at different times when his game's looking good, and that's where we are with him right now. So I'm good with Luke List and GPPs. Johnny Huh came through for us, made the cut last week. Still down there in this price range, Andrew. He's been super consistent. He faded over the weekend, but I think we can give him a look. And then another one of your guys, Sebastian Munoz, feels really cheap. His game's got ebbs and flows to it, kind of in a funk right now. But I think at this price tag, we know that he can produce big time results when things are going well. So I think you can maybe give him a look there at 7-1.
Yeah, I think I was on him about 10 straight weeks last year, and felt like he finished top 15 every turn. Every time I mentioned his name. A lot of these guys though have been trending in the wrong direction. Once we get down this range, 73 and below. Luke List, a very interesting play. That golf course last week probably fit his game pretty well because you had to hit the ball well to contend, obviously, considering the where the scores were at. Get down here in the sixes. A lot of capable players, but like I said, consistency is what is going to be hard to find down here. We could have, I'm not going to start with any name. I'm just going to throw names out there. First and foremost, your man Doc Redman at 6,600. I know you love him at that price, but he is undoubtedly trending in the wrong direction. But like I said, a lot of capable players down here. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if my man, the vet, Stu Sink, rattles off a couple 66s and finishes third or something. I mean, Strillman, he's got he's got a couple top fives a year in him out of nowhere. Keegan Bradley will probably be leading after the first day and miss the cut.
Like Cameron Smith last week.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go down through here. Glover, Ryan Moore, very capable. Rich Uwinski has not played terrible this year. Patrick Rogers, your man. I like him down here at this price, 6,600. Keep on going down. Sam Ryder, Tim Hogue, Austin Cook stud. I feel like I know we throw out Scott Stallings a ton. Not saying to playing this week, but I'm telling you, the way he's hitting the golf ball, we're going to see it in the near future. Top 5, top 3 finish out of him. We should get that putter rolling. Vaughn Taylor played well here in the past. Another name that we love to hate to say. JB Holmes has great course history here. I think his career might be headed towards being done. I don't know if there's an injury issue or travel issue or the COVID issue. We really still don't know what happened last year, but this is the tournament he seemed to play well in, along with last week. And last week he played awful. Maybe 75 the first day and came back 1 under par the second day, 2 under, something like that. Missed the cut. So, but a lot of capable players down here in the 6,000s. Joe, touch on a few you like down here.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple names at you, man. I feel like there's some viable guys down here this week. It's always kind of a crapshoot from week to week what we're going to find in the sixes, if we're going to find anything we like. And there's some things down here to work with. Touching on Doc, man, you know I love playing him. I'm definitely gonna fire with him at this price, even though he's been off. But let me give you a little stat on him. Between the Amex and last week at the Farmers, his strokes gained tee to green improved 6 strokes between those 2 tournaments. So you feel like maybe he's starting to go in the right direction. He lost a couple strokes putting last week, which held him back, but huge jump of improvement from tee to green for Doc. Had a T34 here last year, so I could maybe see him breaking out a little bit here. I'm going to take a shot at that price. It's just too cheap for the upside that we know's there. Bo Hogue at 6.7K. He's been running really hot, man. Had a T16 at the Amex and a T18 last week. Doing a lot of it with the putter, especially last week, but he's a guy you can look at just based off recent form. Kyle Stanley's totally gross, and I'm never really going to be fired up about playing him or even mentioning him to people because that's how low my confidence runs in Kyle Stanley, but he's been excellent tee to green. So, I mean, he's a guy you can look at. Keith Mitchell, we got him on Bermuda, which kind of makes us want to give him a look, and he played well at the Sony. Had a T14 there. Finally starting to show a little bit of life. So I think you can look at Keith down there. And then the twins, Patrick Reed's boys, Will Gordon and Robbie Shelton. Explosive players, inconsistent players, but explosive. I think you can certainly look at them at this price in this golf tournament. Consider those guys. There's high upside there. So we might want to look at Will Gordon and Robbie Shelton. They both played well last week. And the last guy I'm going to throw at you, Andrew, little name, Davis Riley, 6.1K. The only player to win 2 times on the Korn Ferry Tour last year in 2020. The kid's out of Alabama. He's 24 years old. 4th in birdie average on the Korn Ferry Tour last year. Excellent driver of the ball. Very long off the tee. Very good putter. Explosive player. Hadn't played in a while, so we don't know what we're getting there, but very, very talented kid down there at 6.1K, 2-time KFT winner last year.
Thank you for all that, Joe. But the most important part of this show is right now. Where's your heart at this week, Joe, in the Waste Management Phoenix Open? Where's your heart at? Other than the Kansas City Chiefs, where's your heart at?
Kansas City Chiefs.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, Bagels. Xander wins this week, Andrew.
I don't know. I've got 2. I'm gonna throw out there. Number 1,
I'm gonna say Daniel Berger plays really, really well. You know, I'm a Berger guy. I feel like he might go overlooked this week, so I like Berger a lot. But Xander, man, 2 top 5s. He kind of broke the Tory curse last week. I feel like he's on a redemption tour this year, man. No wins last year. I think he grabs one this week. I'm
on Berger this week. Daniel Berger is
I like it.
my guy. Another name we'll throw out if you're a top 20, top 30 better. Look at Ches Reavie. Got great course history here. He's not played great this year, but he's not played bad either. If you look at his game log for the year, barely missing the cut in the event he's played. So Ches Reavie, if you're a top 20, top 30, top 40 better, because you're gonna get a decent return off that. Daniel Berger, if you're picking somebody to win. Other than that, guys, make sure you check out the Experts Roundtable. You met Josh today for the first time, and Joe and I and our other partner Spencer sit down every week and fill out a series of questions. Really gives a lot of insight of where our brains are at that week. And as always, you've seen I've been putting the listener lineup in there. So basically, everybody I talk about, I try to fit them into a lineup, put them out there, see how it goes. So the week that we do really well, that you all do, I'm gonna do well too. So. Without everything else being said, I am Andrew Putters and my friend Joe Nicely, and you have listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.
That was my first big mistake. I've already hit 3 in the lake. It's gonna drive